Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome in. Oh, maybe I should go. Peter Piper pick a pep. Dude, it's doing what same thing it did yesterday. Hold on. Is it hailing or raining? Let me go look at something real quick. Oh. I don't know if that's snow or sleet. I think that would be sleet. It's not quite hail, but it's also not snow. I think that's sleet. Did the same thing yesterday. We haven't had a good snow all year. Yesterday, for about 2 hours from 9 to 11, maybe 8 to 10, we got snow. I opened the door and we finally got some like ground cover. It was enough that it was sticking to the ground and it was starting to cover the ground. Then I woke up, looked out the door. 8 hours later, no snow on the ground. Same thing tonight. It's been windy at night while I'm at work and I take smoke breaks. It's like it's like blast you. And it's doing the same thing as yesterday. It's not like snow, it's like sleet. It's like balls of ice. It's not quite hail, but it's not quite snow. It's in the middle. Morning, Seesaw. Good morning. What'd you think of that debate last night? I thought it was funny that after I'm gone from the panel, people who admittedly didn't even listen to the debate are like, "Oh yeah, you definitely whooped him. You definitely whooped him." Go watch the debate prep stream that I did. I said in the stream, I'm going to take an L on this debate, but not because I didn't take the L because he was a better debater. He was more well-spoken. He was more just incredibly great at, sharing his ideas and destroying all my arguments. No. The reason I took an L in that debate is because I accepted the debate. And then the day before, I started prepping and I was like, oh, I actually agree with this prompt. So I had to argue something I didn't even agree with. So, and actually, that isn't even, I said that after the debate was over. I said, I'll take an L on that because uh, I didn't actually disagree with the prompt. Um, but I still, but when he brought up the problem that I had, I still had a good rebuttal for it. And then he didn't push it. He should have just kept pushing that because that was the weak spot. But he didn't even pin me down on it. So I just gave a rebuttal and we moved on. He shouldn't have let me move on that. So technically, from a judge's perspective, whether or not I think that I took the L, like I don't think I took the L. From a judge's perspective, judging that debate, he conceded in the beginning. He's like, okay, that's fine. You got me there. So we both we both lost to ourselves. What's up, King? All right, we're gonna do some more Isaiah in a moment. I just got a message or something. What did I just get notified about? What's up, Marlon? All right. Where we at? We're on Isaiah 29. And then later on, Steelborn asked the panel, he's like, who do you guys think I should talk to? He said, I'm doing a debate with Destiny. Here's the prompt. Trump is the biggest threat to free speech. Who do you think I should talk to about this? And nobody said, you should probably talk to JS about it because he is the most hardcore Trumper of anybody on that panel. I'm the most hardcore. I have 1, 2, 3, 3 Trump hats right there, right there, right there. Trump on the sign behind me. A bucket full of Trump gold over there. I've been covering Trump every week for almost 4 years. And I cover all the major Destiny debates. I know every argument Destiny's going to make. But nobody was like, you should maybe ask JS. He could probably help you with that. But no. No. Anyway, this is not a political show. I've just been wanting to get that off my chest. All right, let's read the Bible. We're in Isaiah 29. Don't do those heart hands to me. I can't stand that. How do you do it? Like this? How's the other way they do it? Like this. They go throwing up dang gang signs. They got little kids throwing up gang signs. If you do this in the hood, it looks like you're doing this. It looks like you're throwing the folk down. You do this in Chicago, your little heart sign, you're going to get shot. You need to stop it. Shut up, Elderline. You only say that because you just disagree. You realize he conceded the whole debate in the first 5 minutes. Just so you know. But I know you guys are, you know. It doesn't matter what I say. I could have made the best arguments in the world. And he could have played a harmonica for the entire hour. And you would still be like, you got him, you bodied him, bruh. I know how all you guys think. It's a hive mind. No original thought. All right. I don't think he did well. Oh. Okay. Well, then I'll stop picking on you. But you would say I lost anyway. You always think I lost. Or maybe you don't. Maybe you're just picking on me. I know how you are. You just like to pick on me. You just like to pick on me. I get it. I get it. All right. Hey, check this out. Oh, well, I'll tell you when we get to it, but it's pretty funny. There's something coming up in Isaiah 32. And the first time I read it, I was like, what? And I highlighted it, but I didn't like look into it. But since then I've looked into it, and it doesn't mean anyway, we'll get there shortly, and I'll tell you when we get to it. But all right, chapter 29. Woe to Ariel, the city where David dwelt. Add ye year to year, let them kill sacrifices. Yet I will distress Ariel, and there shall be heaviness and sorrow, and it shall be unto me as Ariel. I think I'm pronouncing that right. It keeps making me think about the Little Mermaid. And I will camp against thee round about, and will lay siege against thee with a mount. And I will raise forts against thee, and thou shalt be brought down, and shalt speak out of the ground, and thy speech shall be low out of the dust, and thy voice shall be as of one that hath a familiar spirit out of the ground, and thy speech shall whisper out of the dust. Moreover, the multitude of thy strangers shall be like small dust, and the multitude of the terrible ones shall be as chaff that passeth away. Yea, it shall be at an instant, suddenly. This is more apocryphal writing. Not apocryphal, apocalyptic writing. I think it's apocalyptic from 27 to 30, if I remember right. Maybe, yeah, 27 to 30. Thou shalt be visited of the Lord of hosts with thunder and with earthquake and great noise, with storm and tempest and the flame of devouring fire. That's like the pillar of fire that's going to wipe out the world. He killed the world with a flood the first time. It's going to be with fire the next time. Speaking of, I watched the second Greenland movie yesterday. So 2 days ago, I watched the first Greenland movie. Yesterday morning, I watched the second Greenland movie. They're pretty good. And it's about a meteor. So kind of, I think this is a meteor is a very possible explanation for what the end times are going to look like. It's either going to be some sort of solar flare, a nuclear winter, a meteor, or the poles flip, the magnetic shield goes down, radiation from the sun cooks us all. But whatever it's going to be, it's going to get hot. It's going to get very hot. Devouring fire. And the multitude of all the nations that fight against Ariel, even all that fight against her and her munition, and that distress her, shall be as a dream of a night vision. It shall even be as when an hungry man dreameth, and behold, he eateth, but he awaketh, and his soul is empty. Or as when a thirsty man dreameth, and behold, he drinketh, but he awaketh, and behold, he is faint, and his soul hath appetite. So shall the multitude of all the nations be that fight against Mount Zion. Stay yourselves and wonder. Cry ye out and cry. They are drunken, but not with wine. They stagger, but not with strong drink. For the Lord hath poured out upon you the spirit of deep sleep, and hath closed your eyes. The prophets and your rulers, the seers, hath he covered. And the vision of all is come unto you as the words of a book that is sealed, which men deliver to one that is learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I cannot, for it is sealed. And the book is delivered. This is kind of like the seals in Revelation. This is why to understand Revelation, you need to have a good understanding of the Old Testament. Everything in Revelation comes from the Old Testament. Maybe not everything, but it all is referencing stuff from the Old Testament. And the book is delivered to him that is not learned. Learned. That is not learned, saying, Read this, I pray thee. And he saith, I am not learned. Wherefore the Lord said, For as much as this people draw near me with their mouth, and with their lips do honor me, but have removed their heart far from me, and their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. Their fear toward me is taught by the precept of men. Therefore, behold, I will proceed to do a marvelous work among this people, even a marvelous work and a wonder, for the vision or for the wisdom of their wise men shall perish, and the understanding of their prudent men shall be hid. Woe unto them that seek deep to hide their counsel from the Lord, and their works are in the dark, and they say, Who seeth us, and who knoweth us? Surely your turning of things upside down shall be esteemed as the potter's clay. For shall the work say to him that made it, He made me not? Or shall the thing framed say to him that framed it, He had no understanding? And that's also repeated in the New Testament in Matthew. We were talking about that last night. It's slightly different, though, in Matthew. It is not yet a very little while, and Lebanon shall be turned into a fruitful field, and the fruitful field shall be esteemed as a forest. And in that day shall the deaf hear the words of the book, and the eyes of the blind shall see out of obscurity and out of darkness. The meek also shall increase their joy in the Lord, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. For the terrible one is brought to naught, and the scorner is consumed, and all that watch for iniquity are cut off, that make a man an offender for a word, and lay a snare for him that reproveth in the gate, and turn aside the just for a thing of naught. Therefore, thus saith the Lord, who redeemed Abraham, concerning the house of Jacob: Jacob shall not now be ashamed, neither shall his face now wax pale. But when he seeth his children, the work of mine hands, in the midst of him, they shall sanctify my name, and sanctify the Holy One of Jacob, and shall fear the God of Israel. They also that erred in the spirit shall come to understanding, and they that murmured shall learn doctrine. That's deep. So God just going to kill everyone with fire, huh? Ridiculous. Why is that ridiculous? I think it's awesome. I think it's based. I love it. Is that mean? Big old meanie God. I love it. I wish he'd do it right now. I'm ready. Chapter 30. Woe to the rebellious children, saith the Lord, that take counsel, but not of me, and that cover with a covering, but not of my spirit, that they may add sin to sin, that walk to go down into Egypt, and have not asked at my mouth to strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt. Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame, and the trust in the shadow of Egypt your confusion. For his princes were at Zoan, and his ambassadors came to Hanes. Hanes? I don't know. They were all ashamed of a people that could not profit them, nor be in help, nor profit, but a shame and also a reproach. The burden of the beasts of the south, into the land of trouble and anguish, from whence come the young and old lion, the viper and fiery flying serpent. They will carry their riches upon the shoulders of young asses, and their treasures upon the bunches of camels, to a people that shall not profit them. For the Egyptians shall help in vain, and to no purpose. Therefore have I cried concerning this. Their strength is to sit still. Now go, their strength is to sit still. I'm gonna look into that real quick. What does it mean by that? Their strength is to sit still. Isaiah 37 means that relying on human efforts or alliances, symbolized by Egypt's boasted strength, is futile, and true power comes from quiet, patient trust in God. Be still and know that I am the Lord. Be still and know God. That's base. That's kind of what I thought it meant. Now go, write it before them in a table, and note it in a book, that it may be for the time to come forever and ever. That this is a rebellious people, lying children, children that will not hear the law of the Lord, which say to the seers, see not, and to the prophets, prophesy not unto us right things. Speak unto us smooth things, prophesy deceits. Get you out of the way, turn aside out of the path, cause the Holy One of Israel to cease from before us. Wherefore, thus saith the Holy One of Israel, because ye despise this word, and trust in oppression and perverseness, and stay thereon, therefore this iniquity shall be to you as a breach ready to fall, swelling out in a high wall, whose breaking cometh suddenly at an instant. And he shall break it as the breaking of the potter's vessel that is broken in pieces. He shall not spare, so that there shall not be found in the bursting of it a shard, to take fire from the hearth, or to take water withal out of the pit. For thus saith the Lord God, the Holy One of Israel: in returning and rest shall ye be saved, in quietness and in confidence shall be your strength, and ye would not. But ye said, no, for we will flee upon horses. Therefore shall ye flee, and we will ride upon the swift. Therefore shall they that pursue you be swift. 1,000 shall flee at the rebuke of one. At the rebuke of 5 shall ye flee, till ye be left as a beacon upon the top of a mountain, and as an ensign on a hill. And therefore will the Lord wait, that he may be gracious unto you, and therefore will he be exalted, that he may have mercy upon you. For the Lord is a God of judgment. Blessed are all they that wait for him. For the people shall dwell in Zion at Jerusalem. Thou shalt weep no more. He will be very gracious unto all thee at the voice of thy cry. When he shall hear it, he will answer thee. And though the Lord give you the bread of adversity and the water of affliction, yet shall not thy teachers be removed into a corner any more, but thine eyes shall see thy teachers, and thine ears shall hear a word behind me, saying, this is the way, walk ye in it. When ye turn to the right hand, and when ye turn to the left. Ye shall defile also the covering of thy graven images of silver, and the ornament of thy molten images of gold. Thou shalt cast them away as a menstruous cloth. Thou shalt say unto it, get thee hence. Get out of here. Get behind me, Satan. You should throw away your idols of gold and silver like a menstruous cloth. You know what that means, guys? It's gross. That's what it means. It means what you think it means, and it's gross. Then shall he give the rain of thy seed, that thou shalt sow the ground withal, and bread of the increase of the earth, and it shall be fat and plenteous. And that day shall thy cattle feed in large pastures. The oxen likewise, and the young asses that ear the ground, shall eat clean provender, which hath been winnowed with the shovel and with the fan. And there shall be upon every high mountain, this is a long chapter, and there shall be on every high mountain and upon every high hill rivers and streams of water in the day of the great slaughter when the towers fall. Let's talk about 9/11. That's a joke. Moreover, the light of the moon shall be as the light of the sun, and the light of the sun shall be sevenfold, as the light of 7 days. You know, that also kind of sounds like the magnetic field is down, and the ozone is. I'm sure the tree huggers and the climate change people would love this, because it kind of sounds like the ozone has been depleted, or again, the magnetic field is somehow disrupted, because the magnetic field and the ozone layer protect us from the radiation from the sun. They kind of dampen the light from the sun and the moon. They're saying the moon will be bright as the sun, and the sun will be 7 times brighter than it is. In that day that the Lord bindeth up the breach of his people, and healeth the stroke of their wound. Behold, the name of the Lord cometh from afar, burning with his anger, and the burden thereof is heavy. His lips are full of indignation, and his tongue as a devouring fire. And his breath as an overflowing stream shall reach to the midst of the neck, to sift the nations with the sieve of vanity. And there shall be a bridle in the jaws of the people, causing them to err. Bridle in the jaws of the people, we've talked about that before. You put a bit in a horse's mouth, or a bridle in the jaws of people, is a way to control people. You shall have a song as in the night, when a holy solemnity is kept, and gladness of heart, as when one goeth with a pipe to come into the mountain of the Lord, to the mighty one of Israel. And the Lord shall cause his glorious voice to be heard, and shall show the lighting down of his arm. Show the lighting down of his arm, with the indignation of his anger, and with the flame of a devouring fire, with scattering and tempest and hailstones. For through the voice of the Lord shall the Assyrians be beaten down, which smote with a rod. So wait. So God says he's going to use the Assyrians to smite the Israelites. He's going to use the Assyrians as a tool to smite the Israelites with a rod. And then here it says he's going to destroy the Assyrians who smited with the rod. But he made them do that. Does that sound like I don't know. That doesn't sound like a problem to me. It makes perfect sense to me. I don't know how you would make sense of that with some other ideas, but it makes sense to me. And in every place where the grounded staff shall pass, which the Lord shall lay upon him, it shall be with tabrets and hearts, and in battles of shaking will he fight with it. For Tophet is ordained of old. Yea, for the king it is prepared. He hath made it deep and large. What is Tophet? The pile thereof is fire and much wood. The breath of the Lord, like a stream of brimstone, doth kindle it. And this is so a lot of this stuff, like if you were like these Gnostics that believe that the God of the Old Testament is an evil demiurge, stuff like that is where they get that from. Say, what kind of God? They're talking about God breathing fire and brimstone and raining down fire on people and destroying people who he made kill other people for killing those people. So people will say, sounds like a really mean God. But to me, it sounds based. Sounds awesome. Sounds awe-inspiring. Sounds like something you ought to fear, not with worldly fake fear, like scared that a bear just ran up in your campsite, but with reverence. Fear the Lord. Revere him like a father. I wanted to read, what's Tophet? Is that a place? I'm guessing it's a place. But it reads like it's not a place. Tophet. Topheth? No, Tophet. Isaiah 30:33. Yep. Tophet is described as a prepared place of burning and divine judgment, specifically meant to consume the Assyrian enemy. Located in the valley of Hinnom near Jerusalem, it is historically a site of idolatrous child sacrifice to Molech. But Isaiah uses it to symbolize God's sovereignty and the inevitable destruction of those opposing him. Huh. But that's the historical meaning behind it. But then there's also allegorical prophecy there, which I think is referring to hell, the second death. What's up, Rev? Comet? Yeah, comet. Comet seems likely. I don't know. I think nukes seem more likely. I think satellites with lasers on their heads sound the most likely. Space Wars, Star Wars. I guess it's not Star Wars if it's in lower Earth orbit. If the space war happens in low Earth orbit, it's not actually a Star Wars. It's more like a high altitude wars, you know? You know? A galaxy wars. What's up, Shiva? Hello, Shiva. All right. 31. Woe to them that go down to Egypt for help. Freddie, Freddie, Pharaoh, we was pharaohs. And stay on horses and trust in chariots because they are many, and in horsemen because they are very strong. But they look not unto the Holy One of Israel, neither seek the Lord. Yet he also is wise and will bring evil, and will not call back his words, but will arise against the house of the evildoers, and against the help of them that work iniquity. Now the Egyptians are men and not God, and their horses flesh and not spirit. When the Lord shall stretch out his hand, both he that helpeth shall fall, and he that is holpen shall fall down, and they all shall fall together. Fail? Oh no, they all shall fail together. It said fall the first two times, but this one says fail, unless that's like no, it's fail. For thus hath the Lord spoken unto me, like as the lion and the young lion roaring on his prey. When a multitude of shepherds is called forth against him, he will not be afraid of their voice, nor abase himself for the noise of them. So shall the Lord of hosts come down to fight for Mount Zion and for the hill thereof. As birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it, and passing over, he will preserve it. Turn ye unto him from whom the children of Israel have deeply revolted. For in that day every man shall cast away his idols of silver and his idols of gold, which your own hands have made unto you for a sin. Then shall the Assyrian fall with the sword, not of a mighty man, and the sword not of a mean man shall devour him. But he shall flee from the sword, and his young men shall be discomfited. And he shall pass over to his stronghold for fear, and his princes shall be afraid of the ensign, saith the Lord, whose fire is in Zion, and his furnace in Jerusalem. We're on 32, so there's a kind of funny part here. It's not funny, it's going to sound funny, but I'll explain it. Found out on Sunday, our priest plans to make us official Orthodox in April. Just don't have a date yet. I heard that. I heard you say that, maybe I read it in a chat. Did you go on a panel last night, or did you say that in a chat? I heard that maybe Easy read it. I feel like I didn't read it. I feel like it was auditory, but I heard that. Okay. Why do you say make us official Orthodox? You mean you're going to get baptized? Or you mean you're going to start catechesis? What does that mean? Become official Orthodox. I've never heard that terminology before. A freaking bump on my chin. It's irritating me. It's not on my chin, it's on my neck, under my chin. I hit the gym like a monster today. I've been watching Sam Sulek or Susek, whatever his name is, trying to get some pointers. Good pointers. I'm sword in a mug. I always focus on. Ooh, I almost spilled that. I always focus on flat bench, and then after flat, I go to incline. And then, but I give it less intensity on the incline than I do on the flat. I use most of my strength doing the flat. Then I go to the incline, do that for a little bit. Then I do military press, which is shoulders, which is doing this. And so that's chest and shoulders day. And then I do other things too, like I do front delt raises and side delt raises, and then I do the back delt flies, and then I do the chest flies. But anyway, Sam said, don't do flat bench anymore. Stop doing flat bench. So I'm going to try that out because flat bench gets your lower chest, which men naturally have a bigger lower chest. And all the exercises work our lower pecs, but it ends up making it have man boobies because they poke out from the bottom like mine do. So in order to stop that, one, I got to stop drinking beer so much and lose some fat. But two, focus on your upper chest, and then it gives you that more of that like that line when you're wearing a shirt. You see that like focus on the upper chest. So that's what the incline bench is for. So I'm going to give that a shot. I have heard Jim Bob mention it if you were listening to Monday show or DPH. I was chilling at both. Well, on Monday. No. You didn't say it in Easy Chat last night? I thought I heard it there. My super chats last night were focused on joking, Steelborn and his parent passions for avarice. Yeah, I remember that. Okay. 32. This is funny. Wait till we get to verse 5 and 8. Behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. And a man shall be as an hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. And the eyes of them that see shall not be dim, and the ears of them that hear shall hearken. The heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerers shall be ready to speak plainly. The vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy, and to utter error against the Lord, to make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. But the liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. The liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. So when I first read that, I thought that was like saying something bad about liberals. But then of course it's not. By liberal it means people who give generously. The liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. It doesn't mean lefties. Okay. Rise up, ye women. This is for the ladies. This is for the ladies. Specifically the women of Jerusalem. Take that as you will. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, you careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. Many days and years shall ye be troubled, ye careless women. For the vintage shall fail, the gathering shall not come. Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, you careless ones. Strip you and make you bare, and gird sackcloth upon your loins. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Upon the land of my people. Dude, these like feminist Christians that are like, you gotta be nice. You gotta be nicer. Jesus wouldn't say that. Like, they just skip all the parts. I don't think these women have like read any of the Bible. The Bible is not a book it's not a feminist book. It's very much not. It's very tremble, ye careless women. We're gonna strip you down, wear some sackcloth. Sackcloth is a sign of mourning and grief. Um, tremble, ye careless women. That's harsh language. I don't like that language. I like I like insulting people with like stuff from the Bible, especially Christians. Cuz especially Christian women cuz then if they're like, "Why would you say that? That's so cruel. Christ would never do that." You're like, "Oh, okay, well let's look right here." Next time I get in an argument with like a woman that claims to be Christian and she's acting like some authority figure, I'm going to say, "Tremble, careless woman." That just sounds powerful. Sometimes it's not, you don't, sometimes not using like profanity and like modern words, actually, I think it hits deeper. There's something about it that's more powerful. If you say, "Tremble, you careless woman," she can be like, she's going to start trembling. Most self professed Christians haven't read the Bible, in my experience. Yeah, front to back, probably not. You're probably right about that. Um, that's probably true. I like that. Tremble, ye women that are at ease. Be troubled, ye careless ones. Strip down and make yourself naked and put some sackcloth on. They shall lament for the teats, for the pleasant fields, for the fruitful vine. Upon the land of my people shall come up thorns and briars, yea, upon all the houses of joy in the joyous city. Because the palaces shall be forsaken, the multitude of the cities shall be left. The forts and towers shall be for dens forever, a joy of wild asses, a pasture of flocks. Until the Spirit be poured upon us from on high, and the wilderness be a fruitful field, and the fruitful field be counted for a forest. Then judgment shall dwell in the wilderness, and righteousness remain in the fruitful field. And the work of righteousness shall be peace, and the effect of righteousness, quietness and assurance forever. And my people shall dwell in a peaceable habitation, and in sure dwellings, and in quiet resting places. When it shall hail, coming down on the forest, and the city shall be low in a low place. Blessed are ye that sow beside all waters, that send forth thither the feet of the ox and the ass. I have no idea what that chapter was about, so I'm going to dig into it a bit. Isaiah 32 prophesies a future righteous kingdom, moving from warnings of judgment against complacent, haughty leaders to a promise of peace, justice, and the outpouring of the Holy Spirit under a true king, which is Christ. It signifies a shift from corrupt, blind leadership to a time where truth is recognized, spiritual vision is restored, and the righteous reign. Spiritual vision is restored. Meaning that spiritual vision will fall away eventually, which is what I believe has already happened. But does that mean it's going to come back one day? Is that like cessation? So cessation is the idea that spiritual gifts cease to exist once Christ came. I don't know if it's once Christ was born. I think it's after Christ resurrected. After Christ resurrected, the spiritual gifts cease, which is speaking in tongues, casting out demons, prophecy, healing, laying on hands, healing, speaking in tongues, prophecy, healing, Casting out demons. I'm missing one. What am I missing, Rev? Anyway, cessation is the idea that after faith's not a spiritual gift. No, I'm talking about that's not what I'm talking about. But anyway, cessation is the idea that these things cease once Christ resurrects, which would kind of match with this. Spiritual vision is like prophecy. Oh, dream interpretation, that's another one. Real dream interpretation, like what David did, not like when you read in a book that if your teeth fall out in your dreams, it means you're nervous, but like real dream interpretation. Spiritual vision, which I would call prophecy, probably. That's probably prophecy. The gifts of the Spirit are listed in 1 Corinthians 12, 8 through 10. Why don't you just tell me what they are? Not the fruits of the Spirit. Are you talking about? If that's love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control, then they're not talking about what I'm talking about. Let me look. If you just said, that's not what I'm talking about, if that's what that is. If you just pointed me towards love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, faithfulness, and self-control, I'm going to be irritated, Rev. Is that what that is? I think that's what that is. 1 Corinthians 12, 8 through 10. Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is it. Yeah, this is it. You're right. Okay. Whew. That would be in Ephesians, huh? What I'm thinking of. But yes. Okay, so wisdom, knowledge. For one is given the spirit of the word of wisdom, to another the word of knowledge by the same Spirit, to another faith by the same Spirit, to another the gifts of healing. Faith? Diversities of gifts. I did not know faith was one of them. Working miracles, okay. Prophecy, tongues, interpretation of tongues. Okay, I knew that was one of them, but I kind of just count that in tongues, because if you can speak in tongues, you assume there's an interpreter. But I thought that, okay. Discerning of spirits. Spiritual vision is restored. Healing. Okay, this doesn't list casting out demons. Hey, well, that actually. Okay. So, see, I've kind of thought maybe I believe in cessation, but if faith. If faith is one of them, then that didn't cease. So then cessation doesn't make sense. Faith is a gift of the Spirit, Paul says clearly, for by grace you're saved through faith, and not yourself, gift of God, not of works, lest any man should boast. Yeah, everybody knows that verse, Russ. Everybody knows that verse. I could have sworn healing, faith, to another the working of miracles, another prophecy, to another discerning of spirits. Discerning of spirits, is that? I could have sworn casting out demons was a spiritual gift. Huh. Where did I get that from? Why am I thinking that, Rev? Is there an is there another verse where it talks about casting out demons, but they never connected it to First Corinthians? The fact that faith in and of itself is a gift from the Holy Spirit. Hope you guys are respecting this channel in the comments. This is some valid wisdom. Well, I don't know about that, but you are all over my head, to be honest. Well, we're getting sidetracked, but I'm getting myself sidetracked. But anyway, spiritual vision is restored and the righteous reign, bringing lasting peace and security to the land. Spiritual vision. What do they mean by spiritual vision? Like prophecy? Okay, well, I got most of them right. I got the healing and the tongues and the prophecy right. And dream interpretation could be, what do they mean by discerning of the spirits, Russ? Interpretation of tongues. What's up, Craig Young? Craig Young. Craig. We used to when I was in boot camp when I was a kid, not military boot camp, but troublemaker boot camp. One of our counselors' names was Craig. And we'd always it was in a church. It was on a church that was on a farm, and they turned it into what they called the San Antonio Boys Village. And so we would sit in pews all day, and we would have there were portables that we had classes in, but most of the time when we weren't doing PT outside and we weren't in class, we would just sit in pews and read, and we'd get like an hour of TV time where we'd all watch a movie or something, or not an hour, but we'd watch one movie a day at nighttime before bed. And we'd be in church. It was in a church. It was an old church. It used to be a church, but they turned it into a boys' boot camp. But we'd sit in church pews. So there's a bunch of us in pews, and the sound in the room, like you couldn't really tell where somebody's voice would come from. So this old black guy named Craig was one of the counselors, and nobody liked him. Like, this guy was a real jerk. Like, he was the worst. Nobody liked this guy. He was goofy. He was weird. And he also wasn't the most strict. Like, if he started yelling at you, everybody would just start laughing at him until what do we call him? Mr. Less. If Mr. Less got called out of the office, he was like an old military dude, and he was serious. We did not want to deal with him. But anyway, Mr. Craig would be walking around, and we'd go, "What up, Craig?" Under our breath, we'd just randomly yell, "What up, Craig?" And "Who said that? Who said that?" And he'd get so pissed. It was so funny. "What up, Craig? Craig, what you doing, Craig? Craig." We used to do that all the time. So whenever I see the name Craig, I always remember that. I always think about, "Hey, Craig, Craig, what up, Craig?" Discerning of spirits is telling which spirits are of God and which are not. So why am I thinking that casting out demons was a spiritual gift? Is that mentioned somewhere else, or am I just wrong about that? Or maybe I'm thinking about where it says some will cast out demons and some will something something, and then I'll say I never knew you. That's me. "What up, Craig?" That's probably what I'm thinking of. Anyway, where were we? What got me off on this tangent? Oh, I'm trying to understand Isaiah 32. Okay. The righteous king. The chapter opens with a promise of a king reigning in righteousness and leaders ruling with justice, initially referring to Hezekiah, but ultimately pointed to the messianic rule of Christ. And Hezekiah, if you remember when we read back in Kings and Chronicles, and First and Second Samuel. The four books of kingdoms in the Orthodox Bible: First and Second Samuel, First and Second Kings in the King James version, and Chronicles. Hezekiah is like the last righteous king, the last real good king of Israel. I forget if he was in Israel or Judah, but whichever one he was in, he's like the last good king. And then stuff hits the fan, everything gets bad, and then Assyria comes and takes over. And then they go to Egypt, and then they go to Babylon. Luke 9, 1 and 2. Jesus gives his apostles power to cast out demons in Luke 10, 19, Mark 16, 17, etc. Luke 9, 1 and 2 states it explicitly. So that's not considered a gift of the Spirit. What do you think about that? Me and Seesaw have talked about that before. We've gone pretty deep into that because I don't know, man. Every Halloween we talk about Annalise Michelle. Isn't that her name? The girl that the movie The Exorcism of Emily Rose is about. Every Halloween I do my spooky stream. Not every Halloween, but for like a couple Halloweens I've played the audio from her exorcism, and then we talk about it. And I know that Latinas and Latinos Catholics are real big on that believing in demon possession and exorcism and stuff like that. And I don't know. Usually I think it's fake. I've seen a lot of them that I think are fake, but then there's stories and videos and audio recordings of exorcisms, and it's like, how does she know German all of a sudden? like that is not a little girl talking. There's no way. That's got to be a demon. What do you think about that, Russ? What do you think about demon possession? I think until we're born again, we're all possessed by demons, but demonology is an interesting topic for sure. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't really know where I stand on that one. I think most of my life I thought it was fake, but over the last maybe like 5 years of looking into it, there's some pretty crazy stories out there. I believe it could be possible that somebody could be possessed and that an exorcist could cast out those demons. But if Jesus only gave his apostles that ability, well, I guess that would be like apostolic succession. They would say that the priest or the priest, whether, I don't know if Orthodox people do that, but I know Catholics do it, the exorcism stuff. Possession isn't the only thing a demon can do. There's also demonic oppression and demonic deception. Yeah, we've talked about that before. But I'm talking about, really, it's not even about whether we can be demon possessed. Really, my question is, are those exorcisms that the Catholics do you think that's real? I don't know. I think I lean more toward yes. I used to be totally against it. I think I used to be hardcore cessationist. But now that I think about it, if faith is a gift of the Spirit, then that definitely didn't cease. So why would we assume that the other one ceased? But I feel like speaking in tongues ceased. I feel like there's another verse somewhere in the New Testament about no more speaking in tongues. Maybe I'm wrong about that. It's been a while since I've dug deep into the New Testament. those can definitely be heavily directed at people converting from heavily directed at people converting from many stories I've heard. Power and authority is given to them by Christ through the Holy Spirit. Power and authority is given to them by Christ. I don't know what that is in reference to. Anyway, maybe we'll talk about it next time we're on a panel together. We can talk about. I think it's an interesting topic. The whole spiritual gifts and the whole cessation idea and the demonology stuff. I think is pretty interesting. But anyway, so the righteous king. The near prophecy of this is Hezekiah. Hezekiah is pretty based. The long term allegorical, the long prophecy is Christ, of course. That's pretty obvious. Shelter in the storm. The ruler and his people are described as a hiding place. I want to know about what it's talking about the women. What is this addressing the women part? Tremble ye women. What's this all about? Maybe I should just go to enduring word. Synonyms and themes. Spirit of peace concludes with a rebuke. Oh, okay, here we go. Judgment on complacency. A rebuke is directed at the complacent woman who are confident and secure, warning them of impending destruction when the land becomes desolate, covering it with thorns and briars. The haughty women of Zion. Yeah, I always stop and take notice when God's word specifically addresses women. Oh, this is a woman writing this. Woman preacher. Let's see what her thoughts are on this. Danielle McKinty from thechurchontheway.org. Never heard of it. I always stop and take notice when God's word specifically addresses women. The reason isn't super spiritual or meaningful. It's simply because I am a woman. And she puts I am in big bold letters. Why would you do that? Why are you putting I am in such bold letters? The woman thinking she's God. Selfishly, like many of us, I take notice when something specifically concerns me. It's just because it mentions women, it specifically concerns you, but the rest of the Bible doesn't specifically concern. What does this even mean? What am I reading? As we read, we see that the women of Zion were haughty, and they evoked a general attitude of the city of Judah at the time. Okay, so it's just general. It could apply to anybody too. You women who are so complacent, rise up and listen to me. You daughters who feel secure. What is this translation? You daughters who feel secure? It says careless daughters. Rise up, ye women that are at ease. Hear my voice, ye careless daughters. Give ear unto my speech. You women who are so complacent, rise up and listen to me. You daughters who feel secure. Hear what I have to say. Daughters who feel secure. But they didn't want to say careless daughters. That sounded too mean, so they changed it. When I read this, I can easily apply it not only to ancient Jerusalem, but to modern day world. There are times when I am guilty of complacency. I allow myself to neglect or ignore thoughts of my eternity. What am I reading? I don't know why I'm reading some woman author's commentary on the Bible. This lady's probably a preacher somewhere. Go aheads. The grape harvest would fail and the harvest of fruit would not come. I read this and feel as if Isaiah is saying, go ahead, celebrate now. But what about next year when the harvest fails? What then? I speak not only to women, but to all people when I say it's so easy to trust in our circumstances, assuming that I don't want to read this. Tremble, you complacent woman. See, they changed the word complacent. They changed the word careless with complacent in this article. It's careless. See, because careless, I told you, careless makes them tremble. Careless sounds mean. Hold on. I'll be right back. 1 second. All the women are like, what do you mean careless? I'm not careless. There's no such thing as a careless woman. We need to change this. Change it. What's a better word? What's a better word than girls? What's a better word than careless? I don't like that it says careless women. Women always care. We're very caring. How about complacency? Women preachers have a lot of thoughts. Do the thoughts contain much? No. God's saying, your desire will be for your husband, and I will rule over you, was part of the curse. Genesis 3:16. Yeah? And her husband ruled over her before the fall. What are you talking about? Carefree. Women love that term. No, they use complacent. Tremble, you complacent woman. It's tremble, you careless woman. Till the spirit is poured from the heart. Okay, anyway. I don't care about this lady's commentary. Let's see what the based dudes are saying. The blessings of restoration from the king. Called Genesis. Blah, blah, blah. Generous man devises generous things. I'm in the wrong. Okay, yeah. So other translations use the word generous, not the word liberal. King James Version uses the word literal. Wait. See, what translation is enduring word using? The foolish person will no longer be called generous. The foolish person will speak foolishness. This says the vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. The foolish person will no longer be called generous. The vile person will no longer be called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful, nor the miser said to be bountiful. Churl, miser, basically a greedy person. Nor the foolish person, for the foolish person will speak foolishness, and his heart will work iniquity. This says, for the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity. To practice hypocrisy. This says to practice ungodliness. What translation is enduring word using? Beautiful King audio. Bible commentary. Huh. What? Enduring word primarily through the work of commentator David Guzik predominantly uses New King James Version. Oh, okay. NKJV. NKJV ain't bad. It's a more modernized King James Version. It ain't bad. I prefer the King James, though. Listen to this. Listen to the difference in the way this sounds. The foolish person will no longer be called Genesis. I keep saying Genesis. The foolish person will no longer be called generous, nor the miser said to be bountiful. For the foolish person will speak foolishness, and his heart will work iniquity to practice ungodliness, to utter error against the Lord, to keep the hungry unsatisfied, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. Also, the schemes of the schemer are evil. He devises wicked plans to destroy the poor with lying words. Even when the needy speaks justice, but a generous man devises generous things, and by generosity he shall stand. That's the New King James. The King James says, the vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. For the vile person will speak villainy, and his heart will work iniquity, to practice hypocrisy, and to utter error against the Lord, to make empty the soul of the hungry. And this, to make empty the soul of the hungry. This says, to keep the hungry unsatisfied. That does not hit the same. To make empty the soul of the hungry, and he will cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. Cause the drink, they both say cause the drink of the thirsty to fail. The instruments also of the churl are evil. He deviseth wicked devices to destroy the poor with lying words, even when the needy speaketh right. But the liberal deviseth liberal things, and by liberal things shall he stand. I find I'm very carefree when it comes to their feelings. Yeah, KJV hits different. That's why I like it. Hold on, we're about to move on. Okay. Rise up, women who are at ease. Before the righteous king would come, the people had to prepare themselves. The women who are at ease and the complacent daughters had to get ready for the righteous king. Oh, that is New King James. Wait. Careless daughters, complacent daughters. It is the king. It's the New King James that switched careless with complacent. I'm sure other translations have done it that way too, but I prefer careless. You will be troubled, you complacent women, for the vintage will fail. The gathering will not come. Tremble, you women who are at ease. Be troubled, you complacent ones. Strip yourselves, make yourselves bare, and gird sackcloth on your waist. Dwelling place. Complacent is the same word used later in the chapter where God promises peaceful habitation. According to Isaiah, there is nothing wrong with feeling secure and undisturbed as long as one's trust is solidly based on the Lord. And that's from Wolf. Tremble, you women who are at ease. Instead of an indulgent Wolf, is that the guy that you're related to? John Wolf? Is that what you said, Russ? I'm here for urban adventures. Well, we're having a Bible adventure right now. Go to my, I don't know, go to the playlist on my channel. There's a bunch of them. After this is over, though. What did I just ask? Oh, yeah, John Wolf. Is that who you said you were related to? John Wolf? Is that what you said his name is? Wolf? No, Reverend John Knox. Ah, Knox. Who's Wolf? Is it John Wolf? We looked this up before. Wolf. Wolf theologian. Miroslav Volf? No. Herbert M. Wolf, an American biblical scholar and professor of the Old Testament. Maybe that's who it is, Herbert Wolf. Or Miroslav Volf. And then there's Professor Judith Wolf, but that's with an E. I think it's this Herbert Wolf guy. Miroslav Volf, with a V, is a professor of theology from Yale. Herbert Wolf Not sure which wolf, but there's a few of them floating around. Yeah. I see a Judith wolf with an E. I see a Miroslav Wolf with a V. And then I see Herbert M. Wolf, WOLF, which is, I'm looking for WOLF. Anyway. People shall tremble, you woman who are at ease. Instead of an indulgent, self-focused life, they would be required to tremble, be troubled, and put on the clothing of mourning. This would show repentance and readiness for the righteous king. I made you something for Bible studies. Is that why my phone just dinged? Was that the ding my phone just made? Ah. This is the stay awake juice. This is the get strong juice. Okay, let's keep going. Chapter 33. Woe to thee that spoilest, and thou wast not spoiled, and dealest treacherously, and they dealt not treacherously with thee. When thou shalt cease to spoil, thou shalt be spoiled. And when thou shalt make an end to deal treacherously, they shall deal treacherously with thee. O Lord, be gracious unto us. We have waited for thee. Be our salvation also in the time of trouble. At the noise of the tumult, the people fled. At the lifting up of thyself, the nations were scattered. And your spoiled shall be gathered like the gatherings of the caterpillar. As the running to and fro of locusts shall he run upon them. The Lord is exalted, for he dwelleth on high. He hath filled Zion with judgment and righteousness. And wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of thy times and strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Behold, their valiant ones shall cry without. The ambassadors of peace shall weep bitterly. The highways lie waste. The wayfaring man ceaseth. He hath broken the covenant. He hath despised the cities. He regardeth no man. The earth mourneth and languisheth. Lebanon is ashamed and hewn down. Sharon is like a wilderness, and Bashan and Carmel shake off their fruits. Now will I rise, saith the Lord. Now will I be exalted. Now will I lift myself up. You know what I was just thinking about? The symbolism with locusts in the Bible. And I was just thinking about it while I was reading this. It's always referring to locusts. There's plagues of locusts. There's locusts mentioned in Revelation. Locusts are mentioned all throughout the Bible. And so what's important about a locust? What do locusts do? Well, there's a lot of not prophecy. There's a lot of parables in the New Testament about sowing the seed, the parable of the sower, reap what you sow, the harvest, like the crops, the crops in the fields where you grow the your wheat and your barley, your corn, whatever they're eating. That's sustenance. The farms where all these farmland where they're growing these fields, that's what they get their grain and their sustenance from, and they even use it for sacrifices too. The wheat offering, and the bread offering, whatever it's called. So it's like a symbol of life in the crop that is growing. We plant the seed, God gives the growth. There's all this symbolism about crops and the grain representing like life and sustenance and value. And the locust is a swarm. It's a bug that flies in, and they're nasty, by the way. Ugh, I can't stand a locust. I'm not like scared of many things. There's not many things I don't like that like give me the heebie-jeebies. A dang locust gives me the heebie-jeebies. They just look scary. They even got locusts with dang skulls on their back. So there's some sort of symbolism with locusts equaling like death, is what it seems like. It seems like the crop is the life, but the locusts will fly in and destroy a whole field in a day. Just in a swarm, they'll come through and just blacken the sky. And remember, anyway, I'm gonna get so sidetracked talking about this story, but there was a news story that I covered like a year or two ago. So in the region where I live, Utah, Nevada, Arizona, Colorado, in that area, there's these locusts that plant their eggs in the ground, like the converse of a crop where you plant a seed and life grows forth. These locusts put their larvae into holes in the ground like a seed, and it takes something like 7 years or 70 years, which is I'm not going to get into gematria, but maybe there's some sort of symbolism there too. But I think it's like 70 years it takes for these larvae to harvest. And they but they they put them in the ground like cyclically so that when so that they come up at different times. But the way the cycle works, every I think it's every 7 years they put the larva, and it takes 7 years for them to come up, and they lay their larva in the dirt cyclically so that every locust season when they come out of the ground, only a small group of them come out. But the way the cycle works is eventually, like once every 70 years, they all come out at the same time. And this happened like 2 years ago. It was one of those years that lands on that like 70-year cycle where they all come up at the same time. And remember, there was videos all over this part of the country, like in these Arizona and Nevada and places like that. People were walking outside, and it gave me the chills. I played a video of it on my stream, and it was like, oh, this would be my worst nightmare, to walk out your front door and there's just the ground is moving. You look down at the ground, yeah, like cicadas. Yeah. You look down at the ground and the ground is like pulsing. You're like, why is the ground moving? Because it's covered. They've had cars. They would show their car. Their entire car was covered. They're walking down the street and they're kicking piles of them. Just every step you take, it's like you're walking like on a thin layer of water, like it's splashing, and it's just locusts, cicadas, whatever they are, these freaking bugs. And anyway, a lot of people were saying, uh, we're about to hit the point where all the locusts come out at the same time. Could this be the end times? The plagues, the 10 plagues are returning. We're going to get frogs. We're going to get storm. We see the storms. We see crazy storms happening, earthquakes, volcanoes erupting, you know, lasers in the sky are setting cities on fire. And now we got locusts. Why weren't the birds feeding? Okay, well, I got another story for you. The state bird of Utah is the California seagull. And you might be like, wait, what? The California seagull is the state bird of Utah? There's no ocean in Utah. Seagulls go to the sea. There's no sea in Utah. Why is the state bird of Utah the seagull? Well, when the Mormons came here, shortly after they settled in Utah, there was a swarm of locusts. And I think it might have been one of these years. It was one of these, maybe it was one of these years where all the locusts come out, and they had swarms of locusts destroying all the crops. And I think there's some I think there's a little bit of symbolism in this too. The Mormons came to Utah and then they got sent a swarm of locusts and they were destroying all the crops. And so guess what happened? Seagulls migrated from California to Utah to eat the locusts. Now there's like an invasive species of seagull living in Utah, and they're everywhere. They're like sky rats in Utah. So the Mormons made that the state bird because they thought the seagulls were a blessing from God to stop this plague of locusts. But I'm like, no, it's just another plague. What do you mean? That's not a blessing. That's just another plague. It's crazy. But anyway, the whole point of all this, seagulls are ugly and loud and rude. Exactly. Yeah. So their blessing of seagulls to take out the locusts was just another plague. It's like, whatever. But they made it the state bird. Seagull is my favorite bird. Your name is Seahawk, Daddy. Seahawk is not a seagull, though. Seahawks are kind of cool. Is a peregrine falcon a seahawk? That's one of my favorite animals. That's the fastest animal. If you don't count land-moving animals, they dive at like 256 miles an hour. It's an awesome bird. But anyway, the whole point, what I'm saying is I was just thinking about the symbolism with locusts. It's like locusts represent death, and then the crops represent life. And so when God curses people, the locusts come to wipe out the crops. I don't know. I thought that seemed kind of interesting. It was just bouncing around in my head while I was reading. Now I don't know where I was at. Verse 10, 33:10. Now will I rise, saith the Lord. Now will I be exalted. Now will I lift up myself. Ye shall conceive chaff. Ye shall bring forth stubble. Your breath as fire shall devour you. And the people shall be as the burnings of lime. As thorns cut up shall they be burned in the fire. Whew. Hear ye that are far off what I have done, and ye that are near acknowledge my might. The sinners in Zion are afraid. Fearfulness hath surprised the hypocrites. Who among us shall dwell with the devouring fire? Who among us shall dwell with everlasting burnings? I don't know why people deny that hell is like fire. There's so much. Is this all just symbolism? There's a lot of descriptive stuff about the pit of the earth and the fires of hell and the burning, the eternal burning. That's why that's why they make the analogy with Gehenna, because Gehenna was a place where they would just burn trash all day. Always. It was just a continual fire. He that walketh righteously and speaketh uprightly, he that deviseth the gain of his oppressors, that shaketh his hands from holding of bribes, that stoppeth his ears from hearing of blood, and shutteth his eyes from seeing evil. He shall dwell on high. His place of defense shall be the munitions of rocks. Bread shall be given him. His water shall be sure. Thine eyes shall see the king in his beauty. They shall behold the land that is very far off. Thine heart shall meditate terror. Where is the scribe? Where is the receiver? Where is he that counted the towers? Thou shalt not see a fierce people, a people of a deeper speech than thou canst perceive, a stammering tongue that thou canst not understand. Look upon Zion, the city of our solemnities. Thine eyes shall see Jerusalem, a quiet habitation, a tabernacle that shall not be taken down. Not one of the stakes thereof shall ever be removed, neither shall any of the cords thereof be broken. But there the glorious Lord will be unto us a place of broad rivers and streams. wherein shall go no galley with oars, neither shall gallant ship pass thereby. For the Lord is our judge, the Lord is our lawgiver, the Lord is our king, he will save us. Thy tacklings are loose. They could not well strengthen their mast. They could not spread the sail. Then is the prey of a great spoil divided. The lame take the prey, and the inhabitant shall not say, I am sick. The people that dwell therein shall be forgiven their iniquity. Chapter 34. I think the Millennium Falcon might be a Seahawk. That's possible. I think it's a spaceship, but hey, to each his own. Chapter 34. Come near, ye nations, to hear and hearken, ye people. Let the earth hear, and all that is therein, the world and all things that come forth of it. For the indignation of the Lord is upon all nations, and his fury upon all their armies. He hath utterly destroyed them. He hath delivered them to the slaughter. Their slain also shall be cast out, and their stink shall come up out of their carcasses, and the mountains shall be melted with their blood. Woo-hoo-hoo. And all the hosts of heaven shall be dissolved, and the heavens shall be rolled together as a scroll, and all their hosts shall fall down as the leaf fall from the vine, and as a falling fig from a fig tree. For my sword shall be bathed in heaven. Behold, it shall come down upon Idumea, and upon the people of my curse to judgment. The sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea. And the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. Unicorns! I told you guys unicorns existed. I told you. If you look, there's a little note here. It says 2, and if you go to the side, it says, or rhinoceroses. Or rhinoceros. Rhinoceros? Rhinoceroses? Rhinoceroses. Reverend Rhinoceros. What do you think? You think a unicorn is a rhinoceros? Or is a unicorn a dang mythical creature? I don't know. Rhinoceros makes sense, though. I'm okay with that. But rhinoceros have 2 horns, don't they? Or is that just a cartoon thing? I feel like in cartoons, they always have 2 horns. They do have 2 horns. That's not a unicorn. That's a duocorn. This is ridiculous. Why do they put this is why I don't like footnotes. The footnote says unicorn here means rhinoceros. But I'm looking at a rhinoceros right now, and that's not a unicorn. That's a duocorn. Rhinoceroses have 2 horns. So that's not a rhinoceros. Also, I don't think rhinoceroses are native to Israel and that region. Are they? Are there rhinoceroses in Israel? What is that, like the Mediterranean? What's the region called? Are there rhinoceros in Israel? Same place still today, basically. Yes, there are rhinoceroses in Israel, specifically at the Ramat Gan at the Zoological Center, Biblical Zoo and Safari near Tel Aviv. The safari holds the largest breeding herd of southern white rhinoceroses, that's racist, in the European Endangered Species Program, with over 30 born there. That's not even real. That's a zoological center. That doesn't count. I'm talking about, are they native? History. While not native to modern day Israel, rhinos have been kept and successfully bred there for decades. What about 2,000 years ago? I don't think this is talking about rhinoceroses. Strong says probably the great aurochs or wild bulls, which are now extinct. The exact meaning is not known. Yeah, I think we looked it up in Strong's before. I don't know. I'm just gonna think that it's horses with horns on their foreheads. Just because that's cool. I don't know if that I don't think that would be like heretical. If we can say it's some imaginary endangered auroch, why can't I just say that it's a horse with a horn on his head? It's a unicorn. Rhinoceros is a duocorn. And they're not native to Israel back then. What's an auroch look like? Auroch is the name of I think that's like a Final Fantasy character. That thing has two horns too. That thing ain't a unicorn. That's a duocorn. I'm looking at a picture of an auroch right now. An auroch is an extinct species of bovine considered to be a wild ancestor of modern domestic cattle. That ain't a unicorn. That's a duocorn. That don't count. Nope. 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 Can we just concede that we've demonstrated here today that this is talking about unicorns, what we see, like, you know, in cartoons? Why can't we just believe in unicorns? What's wrong with that? That ain't a heresy. Tell me I'm wrong. Prove me wrong. And don't tell me about the fossil record, because the fossil would look like a horse fossil, and then maybe the horn broke off, or the horn maybe the horn was like hollow, because the horn is like a fingernail, right? Horns are like cartilaginous. I don't know if that's a word, but they're like cartilage. And then when they're not bone, maybe they're bone, but for my theory, they have to not be bone because they have to deteriorate. So what they find a horse skeleton, they think it's just a horse, but that just means that the horn evaporated, or whatever the word is, disintegrated, deteriorated. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You ain't never seen one. I ain't never seen a dang rhinoceros either. That's not true. I've seen a rhinoceros at the zoo, but I never seen an auroch. And also, I have seen unicorns. Okay, I've seen drawings. I've seen CGI. I've seen ancient writings about unicorns. Or like cave. Can I find any hieroglyphs? Ancient writings describe the unicorn not as a mythical horse, but as a fierce, real creature, likely based on accounts of Indian rhinoceroses or other one-horned beasts. Rhinoceroses don't have one horn. Earliest descriptions come from 4th century Greek history Tasias, with further accounts from Pliny the Elder and references in the Bible and Mesopotamian art. Unicorn, Mesopotamian art. Sorry, guys, I'm into cryptids, so Unicorns in Mesopotamian art often appear as one-horned bulls or antelopes. That would be a unicorn. An antelope. Oh, I'm on this. I'm on this. Bro, don't even come around here if you're a unicorn denier, okay? Because I'm pro unicorn. All right, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. What's this look like? What's this look like? Does that look like a rhinoceros to you? Huh? Does that look like a rhinoceros to you? How about this? What does that look like? This is a dang snake unicorn dragon. Look at this. Oh my goodness gracious. Wow. Guys, I think I've proven that unicorns exist today. I'm satisfied with this Bible study, if only for the fact that we've demonstrated the existence of the unicorn. That's not a unicorn. That's a horse fighting a lion. Guys, I'm pro unicorn straight up. Straight up. All right. Enough of that. We got to move on. Looks like a dang chupacabra. You don't even know what a chupacabra looks like. You're a globetard too, though? Whatever. You're a flurf. How are you going to have hollow earth if the earth is flat? You don't even know what a chupacabra looks like. A chupacabra is like a chicken weasel, I think. What does a chupacabra look like? I know what it. Doesn't it have like two legs? Look like an ostrich mixed with a Oh yeah, it's like a coyote demon. Yeah, doesn't look nothing like a chupacabra. Chupacabra look like a dang coyote demon. Those are probably real too, though. I believe in a chupacabra. It's just like a mutated rabid coyote demon. But that's not biblical, okay? Let's focus on Bible study. If you want to talk about cryptids, I'm always down to talk about cryptids. But right now is Bible study, and we just proved unicorns exist. Chupacabra, chicken, chicken weasel. You know what I was thinking of? I was thinking of the movie Tremors. Tremors 2, to be exact. Because Tremors, they're just the worms. But remember, it was either Tremors 2 or 3 where they had the ones that walked around. They looked like little chicken. They had two legs and they walked like this. And they had like the munchers. And they walked like this. That's what I was thinking of when I thought of Chupacabra. But no, I know what a Chupacabra is. It's a dang wolf demon. It's an actual creature that the English translators were inspired to describe as a unicorn. I know. It was an actual, that's what I'm saying. It was an actual creature that they described as a unicorn. The same creature that we call a unicorn today. I know. Facts. It wasn't a dang bull. It wasn't an auroch or a rhinoceros because those are duo horns. All right, let's keep going. What am I doing with my life? And also, if a unicorn is a bull, then why does it say, and the unicorns shall come down with them, and the bullocks with the bulls? The bullocks will be with the bulls, and the unicorns will be with the unicorns. Why, if a unicorn is a bull, why would it separate the unicorns and the bulls? It's not a rhinoceros. Okay? And their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of recompenses, for the controversy of Zion. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. From generation to generation it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever. But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it. The owl also and the raven shall dwell in it. And he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. They shall call the nobles thereof to the kingdom, but none shall be there, and all her princes shall be nothing. And thorns shall come up in her palaces, nettles and brambles in the fortresses thereof. And it shall be an habitation of dragons and a court for owls. And I think owls here is Lilith. Oh no, wait. Oh, ostriches. Ostriches. It says a court for owls, and then it says or ostriches. Anyway, there's people always talk about Lilith. That's like rabbinical. That's not canon. The story of Lilith when people bring up Lilith, but the Lilith that's mentioned in the Bible, there's twice where Lilith is mentioned in the Bible. Once it's somebody totally unrelated, whose name gets mentioned as some lady named Lilith, and then the other time, Lilith is a reference to an owl. But here, where it says owl, this is a reference to an ostrich, allegedly. That's what the footnote says. But the footnote also says that unicorns are rhinoceroses, so I don't know if I can trust this. Just living the dream. Discussing faith, philosophy, and politics on the internet. Better than digging a ditch. This is true. But I do also have a full-time job, which is a boring, menial job. So, I wish I could do this full-time. Court of Owls, like in Batman. But did you hear they just said dragons also? Bro, I'm telling you. People don't know. People forget, man. People forget. The wild beasts of the desert shall also meet with the wild beasts of the island, and the satyr shall cry to his fellow. The screech owl also shall rest there, and find for herself a place of rest. There shall the great owl make her nest, and lay and hatch, and gather under her shadow. There shall the vultures also be gathered, every one with her mate. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. Ooh, look at that. Seek ye out of the book of the Lord and read. Now, what do you think about that, Rev? For anybody who's against universal literacy or the idea that only the liturgy should be reading the Bible and that we shouldn't have access and be reading the Bible, maybe they should read their Bible. Maybe they should seek out of the book of the Lord and read. No one of these shall fail. None shall want her mate. For my mouth it hath commanded, and his spirit hath gathered them. And he hath cast the lot for them, and his hand hath divided it unto them by line. They shall possess it forever. From generation to generation shall they dwell therein. It also says in Leviticus, as speaking of uh, how we should all read the Bible, it talks about in Leviticus before they have all this stuff written down. It says every morning and every night you should you should tell your kids these stories, because they used to, before they had, everybody had universal literacy and knew how to read and write. The way that they would perpetuate stories is they would verbally tell them. And I believe that they had better memory back then. We can see this in real time. People used to, I used to have everybody on my street's phone number memorized. Now I don't know anybody's phone number. Why? Because I have a cell phone that I can type phone numbers into. You see the same thing with spell check. You'd think, well, I wouldn't think this, but some people might think that spell check would make people better spellers. To the contrary, once you have technology to do it for you, our memory is shot, our attention span is shot, our spelling is shot, our language is shot, because the technology does it all for us. So back in the old days, imagine having no technology, zero, no video games, no cell phones, no TV, no nothing. All you can do is memorize stories and tell them. So I think they had better memory back then, and they could tell these stories. And it said, teach your kids these stories. It didn't say go to the Levites to learn the stories. It said everyone tell these stories to your kids every morning and every night. And then once they started writing it down, eventually it says somewhere in there, I forget where, but it says, write this down and everyone read these stories to everyone every day. So I don't know where this idea that like you got to be a priest to read the Bible comes from, but it doesn't come from the Bible. It doesn't come from Moses. It doesn't come from, I don't know where that comes from, but I think it's just a way to gatekeep. If the Bible's authority is not in itself in the right interpretation of it, then nothing can be authoritative in and of itself but you. Will JS answer questions about the debate last night after the Bible study? Yeah, I was talking about the debate last night at the beginning of the show. Not really about the topic, just about commentary on how it went. I said I took a L, but I didn't take a L to Steelborn because, it was a difficult debate. I took a L to myself because I accepted the debate before really thinking about my arguments. And then once I accepted the debate and I started writing my opening statement, I was like, oh, I actually don't disagree with this prompt. The prompt was free will has to exist. I believe God has to have free will. Therefore, I do believe free will has to exist. So, as I was writing my opening, I was like, I don't even disagree with this prompt. So, as soon as he asked me, does God have free will? I tried to play a little rhetoric debate game there and just use some big philosophical jargon to rebuttal that, which I did, and then he didn't push it. So technically that's a point in my favor. He made an argument, I rebutted it, and then he moved on. He didn't push it. He didn't refute my rebuttal. So that's a point for me. But it was kind of a snaky move just to win a debate, because and after the debate was over, I said, to be honest, I agree with the prompt. So I kind of lost to myself, or because I took a debate on a prompt before I thought about the prompt. And then as I was thinking about the prompt, I was like, oh, I don't disagree with this. So then I had to like play a game to win. And maybe kind of snaky, but but sounds like gatekeeping. Yep. It's actually a liberal postmodern school of thought. Immanuel Kant's philosophical revolution was turning attention away from the objects themselves and to our interpretation of them. Interesting. That makes sense. I do dig head covering in church, though. I don't have a problem with that. That's I don't think it's like a requirement. Kind of like it's like it's like eating pork or like keeping the Jewish laws. If you want to not eat pork, it's the same thing with vegetarians. It talks about in the Bible. Um, if you know someone who doesn't eat meat, you shouldn't like mock them, or joke with them, or that's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with choosing not to eat pork. There's nothing wrong with covering your head or not covering your head. Um, but if not covering your head causes you to become a whore, that's a Bible word. I'm allowed to say that. Then it causes you to stumble. If it causes you to stumble, you need to stop doing it. So if you have like, and your hair is your beauty, if you're a woman, your hair is your beauty, and you walk into church and all the guys are staring at you, and you start like, oh, I'm getting attention. I like this. And you start, oh, let me talk to him. Let me talk to him. Let me talk to him. And you getting all flirty up in church. And then you're styling your hair for an hour before church and going into church with your hair looking all nice. And then you're flirting with guys. Put the head covering on, woman. That's the rule. If it causes you to stumble, you should. If your hair is causing you to stumble in church, then you should put the head covering on. But I don't think it's a requirement. If the prompt was free will for man, that would have changed it for you. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't want to go into the whole you can ask me questions and I'll answer them, but I don't want to get into a whole free will thing right now. I just was giving commentary on what I thought about the debate overall. I don't want to do another free will debate. That's like the third formal debate that I've done on free will, and I've probably done 1,000 hours of free will debates over the past 4 years on my streams with countless people. I don't even know how many people I've argued that with. Literally nobody agrees with me. Nobody I've talked to agrees with me. So I've had it debated 1,000 times. There's people who are close, like the people who kind of lean towards Calvinism. I don't like to call people Calvinist. People always do that to me. They're like, oh, he's a Calvinist. No, I'm not a Calvinist. I agree with Calvin on a lot of things, and I disagree with him on some things. I agree with the Orthodox Church on a lot of things. I disagree with them on some things. I agree with every Christian on most things and disagree with them on something. You're never going to find anybody who you agree with 100%. And if you do, except for Jesus, but if you find another man who you agree with 100%, you should probably question if you're actually thinking for yourself or if you're studying yourself approved or if you're just a follower. Except for Jesus, you can follow Jesus. I agree with everything he says 100%. I may not understand all of it. I'll be working on my cartoon later. It's cracking me up. Stop wardening people. Stop wardening people. Wallering. I don't even think that's I mean, it's technically a word, but I don't think that's a good word. Wardening, it would be don't warden people. Wardening is like it's like I know what I want to say, but I don't want to say it in the Bible study. But because it's kind of mean to a certain group of people. But it's talking. It's bad grammar. Stop wardening people. You would say don't warden people. I'm technically Calvinist. Okay, well if you admit it, then that's and if you fall under that category and you accept that and you identify with that, then there's nothing wrong with somebody saying you're a Calvinist. But I don't want to just like lob labels at people just because they match part of it. Stop wardening people. Marilyn's mad because she wants to do her hair and go to church and find a husband. Auntie knows what I'm talking about. How istic of them. Yeah. uh, you talking like people who'd be like, man, that's disputatious. That's audaciousness. Man, that's audaciousness. You hear me? That's ridiculous. Just like making up words with like 18 syllables to sound smart, but you don't sound smart. But what if they need to do some labeling? What if they need to do some labeling? Like, well, get a label maker. Dude, I had a label maker once. Those things are pretty cool. You could just like type anything and print it out on a sticker automatically. Back in the day when I had it, that was fancy. That was really cool. When I'm talking like 20 years ago, I had a label maker. That thing was cool. I didn't even label stuff. I would just like write stuff and stick it on my shirt. Hello, hello. Re-examination. You know how cool it was to have a label maker in 1995? That was like fancy. Okay. I have no idea where I am. We were talking about the owls. We on 35? Oh yeah, we're on chapter 35. Okay. I gotta hurry up. We gotta do 36, 37, 38. Four more chapters. 35 is short. Okay. The wilderness and the solitary place shall be glad for them, and the desert shall rejoice and blossom as the rose. It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice even with joy and singing. The glory of Lebanon shall be given unto it, the excellency of Carmel and Sharon. They shall see the glory of the Lord and the excellency of our God. Strengthen ye the weak hands and confirm the feeble knees. Say to them that are of a fearful heart, be strong, fear not. Behold, your God will come with vengeance, even God with a recompense. He will come and save you. I think we're caught up to where I started this because now I have a bunch of stuff highlighted that already. Then the eyes of the blind shall be opened, and the ears of the deaf shall be unstopped. Then shall the lame man leap as an hart, and the tongue of the dumb sing. The tongue of the dumb sing. For in the wilderness shall waters break out, and streams in the desert. And the parched ground shall become a pool, and the thirsty land springs of water. Oh, the thirsty land springs of water. In the habitation of dragons, where each lay, shall be grass with reeds and rushes. Don't tell me there ain't dragons. Ain't no dinosaurs in the Bible. And an highway shall be there, and a way, and it shall be called the way of holiness. The unclean shall not pass over it, but it shall be for those, the wayfaring men, though fools shall not err therein. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast shall go up thereon. It shall not be found there, but the redeemed shall walk there. And the ransomed of the Lord shall return and come to Zion with songs and everlasting joy upon their heads. They shall obtain joy and gladness, and sorrow and sighing shall flee away. Oh, now we're going to. So this has all been prophecy. So a lot of apocalyptic prophecy there. Now we're going to jump to present time Hezekiah. And all these prophecies are about to come true. Now, we already know these prophecies came true. The short version of the near prophecy has already come true because we read about it in Samuel, Kings, and Chronicles. But again, the Bible is not chronological. So these are prophecies. Now Hezekiah shows up. Now it came to pass in the 14th year of King Hezekiah that Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the defense cities of Judah and took them. And the king of Assyria sent Rabshakeh from Lachish to Jerusalem unto King Hezekiah with a great army. And he stood by the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field. Then came forth unto him Eliakim, Hilkiah's son, which was over the house of Shebna, the scribe, and Joah, Asaph's son, the recorder. And Rabshakeh said unto them, Say ye now to Hezekiah, Thus saith the great king, the king of Assyria, What confidence is this wherein thou trustest? I say, sayest thou, but they are but vain words. I have counsel and strength for war. Now on whom dost thou trust that thou rebellest against me? Lo, thou trustest in the staff of this broken reed. On Egypt, whereon if a man lean, it will go into his hand and pierce it. Go into his hand and pierce it. The staff of Egypt, if you lean on it, it will go into your hand and pierce it. That seems kind of symbolic. The piercing in the hand, like the stigmata, like the nails that went through Jesus's hand. That's I don't know if I'm right about that, but it seems like a parallel. What say you guys? But if thou say to me, We trust in the Lord our God, is it not he whose high places and whose altars Hezekiah hath taken away, and said to Judah and to Jerusalem, Ye shall worship before this altar? Now therefore give pledges, I pray thee, to my master the king of Assyria, and I will give thee 2,000 horses, if thou be able on thy part to set riders upon them. So see, the king of Assyria is mad that Hezekiah took down the altars in the high places, which is throughout the Old Testament, over and over and over again. That's a big no-no. That's a no-no. Every time a king puts altars on the high places, it's like everybody dies. and then God's like, I told you, don't worship at altars on high places. You sacrifice in the temple. You don't just go out in the woods and kill a beast and drag him up onto a mountaintop and do your sacrifices on these high mountaintops. He tells them over and over and over again, don't do that. Hezekiah, and then every time a good king comes in, he tears down the altars, and then a bad king comes in and puts the altars back up. And so Hezekiah tears down the altars, and Assyria's like, why is he tearing down the altars? You don't want to pray to our demon gods? How then wilt thou turn away the face of one captain of the least of my master's servants, and put thy trust on Egypt for chariots and for horsemen? And yeah, we know that Israel starts dealing with Egypt because they're afraid of Assyria, and so they start working with Egypt. Instead of trusting in God, they start dealing with an enemy of God, with their enemy, with their previous captor. They start working with them to fight off Assyria. God's like, no, no, no. I told you to have faith in me. You don't have faith in me? I don't care how many chariots you get. You're going to lose this battle. If your eye causes it to sin, pluck it out. Fit perfectly. It fits perfectly. Multiple verses is good too, better than no verses. Hold on, let me catch up. But I see you. I see your Matthew 5:29, but I'll raise you Matthew 5:27 and 28 for context. That's so funny. Maryland's the worst cherry picker. Maryland's worse than the dang Hebrew Israelite that comes here. They're crazy with their cherry picking. It's funny. Oh no, I just thought of a really racist joke, but I'm not gonna say it. Cherry pickers. Never mind. Don't stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Don't say it. Don't say it. I'm not gonna say it. I think you know where I was going with that. But Maryland, according to 1 Corinthians 11, men being tempted with lust was not listed as a reason for the practice. That's Islam. As the reason for the head covering? Yeah, well, what I said, I was just it was just an example of if something causes your brother to stumble, um, then you don't want to be putting it in front of him. Maybe it was a bad example, but I was trying to just make a random example. It goes for anything related to what causes you to stumble. Yeah, I know. I was just making up an example. It's an analogy. Oh my gosh, she's spurging again. See, why do you do this, Marilyn? I don't. And then, whatever. Why? I'm not even going to address it. But how then wilt thou turn away the face of one? I already read this. And am I now come up without the Lord against this land to destroy it? The Lord said unto me, Go up against this land and destroy it. Then said Eliakim and Shebna and Joah unto Rabshakeh, Speak, I pray thee, unto thy servants in the Syrian language, for we understand it. And speak not to us in the Jews' language, in the ears of the people that are on the wall. But Rabshakeh, I heard a Hebrew Israelite once say that the word Jew or Jews is not in the Bible. Yeah, it is. But Rabshakeh said, Hath my master sent me to thy master and to thee to speak these words? Hath he not sent me to the men that sit upon the wall, that they may eat their own dung and drink their own piss with you? Eat their own dung and drink their own piss. That's what it says, okay? I'm reading it from the Bible, okay? Men who piss on walls. I wonder if you find one of these like real pious or virtue, the piety signalers, Christians, who's like, don't cuss, don't ever cuss. If you said, do you think piss is a cuss word? If I'm gonna go take a piss, am I speaking vulgar language? Is that foul language? Am I cussing when I say I gotta go take a piss? I bet you there's a lot of real pious Christians who would be like, yeah, you shouldn't say that. Ugh, why are you talking like that? Don't say that. Don't say piss. What do you mean? I'm a man who pisses on walls. Then Rabshakeh stood and cried with a loud voice in the Jews' language and said, Hear ye the words of the great king, the king of Assyria. Thus saith the king, Let not Hezekiah deceive you, for he shall not be able to deliver you. Neither let Hezekiah make you trust in the Lord, saying, The Lord will surely deliver us. This city shall not be delivered into the hand of the king of Assyria. Hearken not to. So when I was talking about how they start working with Israel to get the chariot stuff, that happens later. Hezekiah does defend against Assyria, but because he's a good king, he's a righteous king. After him, though, he's the last righteous king. As soon as he's gone, it doesn't take long. I think there's 2 more kings after him, 2 or 3, and they're bad. They're bad news. They do not do what is right in the eyes of the Lord. And so they fall. Hearken not unto Hezekiah, for thus saith the king of Assyria, make an agreement with me by a present, and come out to me, and eat ye every one of his vine, and every one of his fig tree, and drink ye every one the waters of his own cistern, until I come and take you away to a land like your own land, a land of corn and wine, a land of bread and vineyards. Beware lest Hezekiah persuade you, saying, the Lord will deliver us. Hath any of the gods of the nations delivered his land out of the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arphad? Where are the gods of Sepharvaim? And have they delivered Samaria out of my hand? Who are they among all the gods of these lands that have delivered their land out of my hand, that the Lord should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand? But they held their peace and answered him not a word. For the king's commandment was saying, answer him not. Then came Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, that was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and Joah the son of Asaph, the recorder, to Hezekiah with their clothes rent, and told him the words of Rabshakeh. Chapter 37. And it came to pass, when Hezekiah heard it, that he rent his clothes and covered himself with sackcloth, and went into the house of the Lord. And he sent Eliakim, who was over the household, and Shebna the scribe, and the elders of the priests, covered with sackcloth, unto Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz. And they said unto him, thus saith Hezekiah, this day is a day of trouble, and of rebuke, and of blasphemy, for the children are come to the birth, and there is not strength to bring forth. It may be the Lord thy God will hear the words of Rabshakeh, whom the king of Assyria, his master, has sent to reproach the living God, and will reprove the words which the Lord thy God hath heard. Wherefore lift up thy prayer for the remnant that is left. So the servants of King Hezekiah came to Isaiah, and Isaiah said unto them, thus shall ye say unto your master, thus saith the Lord, be not afraid of the words that thou hast heard, wherewith the servants of the king of Assyria have blasphemed me. Ooh, you don't want to do that. That's a no-no. Behold, I will send a blast upon him, and he shall hear a rumor, and return to his own land, and I will cause him to fall by the sword in his own land. So Rabshakeh returned and found the king of Assyria warring against Libnah, for he had heard that he was departed from Lachish. And he heard say concerning Tirhakah, king of Ethiopia, he has come forth to make war with thee. And when he heard it, he sent messengers to Hezekiah, saying, thus shall ye speak to Hezekiah, king of Judah, saying, let not thy God, in whom thou trustest, deceive thee, saying, Jerusalem shall not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. So they're saying, don't believe Hezekiah. Don't believe the God that Hezekiah is talking about. Don't listen to him. You're going to lose. Behold, thou hast heard what the kings of Assyria have done to all lands by destroying them utterly. And shalt thou be delivered? Have the gods of the nations delivered them which my fathers have destroyed? As Gozan and Haran and Rezeph and the children of Eden which were in Telasar? Where is the king of Hamath and the king of Arphad and the king of the city of Sepharvaim, Hena and Ivah? And Hezekiah received the letter from the hand of the messengers and read it. And Hezekiah went up into the house of the Lord and spread it before the Lord. And Hezekiah prayed unto the Lord, saying, O Lord of hosts, God of Israel, that dwelleth between the cherubims, that art the God, even thou alone, of all the kingdoms of the earth, thou hast made heaven and earth. Incline thine ear, O Lord, and hear. Open thine eyes, O Lord, and see. And hear all the words of Sennacherib, which hath sent to reproach the living God. Of a truth, Lord, the kings of Assyria have laid waste all the nations and their countries, and have cast their gods into the fire. For they were no gods, but the work of men's hands, wood and stone. Therefore they have destroyed them. Now therefore, O Lord our God, save us from his hand, that all the kingdoms of the earth may know that thou art the Lord, even thou only. Then Isaiah the son of Amoz sent unto Hezekiah, saying, Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, whereas thou hast prayed to me against Sennacherib, king of Assyria. This is the word which the Lord hath spoken concerning him. The virgin, the daughter of Zion, hath despised thee, and laughed thee to scorn. The daughter of Jerusalem hath shaken her head at thee. Whom hast thou reproached and blasphemed? And against whom hast thou exalted thy voice and lifted up thine eyes on high, even against the Holy One of Israel? By thy servants hast thou reproached the Lord, and hast said, By the multitude of my chariots am I come up to the height of the mountains, to the sides of Lebanon. And I will cut down the tall cedars thereof, and the choice fir trees thereof. And I will enter into the height of his border, and the forest of his Carmel. I have digged and drunk water, and with the sole of my feet have I dried up all the rivers of the besieged places. Hast thou not heard long ago how I have done it, and of ancient times that I have formed it? Now have I brought it to pass, that thou shouldest be to lay waste defenced cities into ruinous heaps. Therefore their inhabitants were of small power. They were dismayed and confounded. They were as the grass of the field and as the green herb, as the grass on the housetops and as corn blasted before it be grown up. But I know thy abode and thy going out and thy coming in and thy rage against me. Because thy rage against me and thy tumult is come up into mine ears, therefore will I put my hook in thy nose and my bridle in thy lips, and I will turn thee back by the way by which thou camest. And this shall be a sign unto thee. Ye shall eat this year such as groweth of itself, in the second year that which springeth of the same. And in the third year sow ye, and reap, and plant vineyards, and eat the fruit thereof. And the remnant that is escaped of the house of Judah shall again take root downward and bear fruit upward. For out of Jerusalem shall go forth a remnant, and they that escape out of Mount Zion, the zeal of the Lord of hosts shall do this. Therefore, thus saith the Lord concerning the king of Assyria, He shall not come into this city, nor shoot an arrow there, nor come before it with shields, nor cast a bank against it. By the way that he came, by the same shall he return, and shall not come into this city, saith the Lord. For I will defend this city to save it for mine own sake, and for my servant David's sake. Then the angel of the Lord went forth and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 185,000. That's 185,000 people. Now, I don't care if people would disagree with me. I believe that that's Michael, the archangel, the one who wields the sword, the one that we see with Balaam and the donkey blocking the roadway. People are probably disagreeing. I don't know. I don't get why people say that every time the angel of the Lord is referenced that it's talking about Jesus. Because we know Michael is called the angel of the Lord. Gabriel is called the angel of the Lord in Luke. So now there could be time there's some, and I've highlighted them and I've made notes, where it does sound like it's describing Jesus, where it talks about the angel of the Lord. But there's other times where it doesn't sound like Jesus. But then people will say, well, but I mean, it does say Jesus didn't come to bring peace, he came to bring a sword. And then people will say, well, the idea that Michael is the angel of the Lord is a Jehovah's Witness thing or a Mormon thing. But that's what I learned in Christian school, and it was a Baptist Christian school, was that this is Michael the archangel. but I can't know that for sure. So it's just what I've been taught and what I believe. We can't allow God to be in charge of the means, just the end somehow. This passage destroys the whole idea that God simply sees the future and can't therefore give prophecy. And can therefore give prophecy. He says clearly, I have declared it and I have made it come to pass. Yeah. Oh, I know. Yeah, I know. Yeah, I wish I had brushed up on the Balaam story before that debate. I didn't know that we were gonna that I was gonna bring that up, but when I brought it up, I couldn't remember, so I wish I would have brushed up on it beforehand. But it says that the Lord is, I forget the wording it uses, but that he takes over Balaam and speaks through him. And then God kills him shortly thereafter. So it's not like Balaam is some great guy. He's actually kind of a jerk. And that's why the donkey keeps, I believe that it's Michael, the archangel, standing there with a sword in his hand. And the donkey sees it, but Balaam can't see it. And the donkey keeps turning around saying, I'm not trying to, don't you see that dude with the sword there? And then the donkey talks to Balaam, and then the Lord enters into Balaam and speaks through him and goes back. And I forget what he does. That's why I needed to brush up on it. But he does something good, but it's not him doing it. It's the Lord doing it through him. But then he turns, as soon as, I guess, like he's released, he goes right back to his old ways, and he gets murked. You reached out to Shiva, but not to me or Rev. I was just a live stream, and he came on. I didn't reach out to him. I didn't message him like, hey, Shiva, come help me with this. I was just doing it. And then he came on the panel, and I was like, let me run this by you. I have a problem here. I just ran. I'm writing my opening, and I'm on point. It's on point. It's all the pieces are falling together. And I get to the very last line. And the very last line of my opening, I say, I wrote something, and I was like, it was literally like the very last line of the opening that I wrote. And I was like, wait, God has free will. So I just broke my whole opening. And then Shiva, and I was like, I have a problem here. And then Shiva jumped in the Discord, and I was like, let me run this by you. How do I solve this problem? Not like, Shiva's not like he's not a Christian. He's not like a biblical scholar, but Shiva's a smart guy, and he's a clever debater. And so I was like, how can I make this work? And what he recommended I do was just appeal to divine mystery. I didn't actually take his advice. I took my own advice, and I just tried to make some clever wording. That's why I started talking about transcendent will. And I said, God's will is neither free nor constrained, because there's nothing for him to be free of. He's I don't know. I just tried to do some mental gymnastics to justify it. But yeah, I didn't reach out to him. Where was I? The camp of the Assyrians, 104 score and 5,000. So the angel of the Lord goes into Assyria. Then the angel of the Lord went forth and smote in the camp of the Assyrians 104 score and 5,000. And when they arose early in the morning, behold, They were all dead corpses. So the angel of the Lord killed 185,000 men in one night in Assyria. Let's go. So Sennacherib, king of Assyria, departed and went and returned and dwelt in Nineveh, at Nineveh. And it came to pass, as he was worshiping in the house of Nisroch, his god, that Adramelech and Sharezer, his sons, smote him with the sword, and they escaped into the land of Armenia. And Esarhaddon, his son, reigned in his stead. All right, we'll do one more chapter. Last chapter. I gotta hurry up. The accent makes me sound smarter than I am. Yeah, well. No, you're clever. You're a clever debater guy, especially when it comes to the free will topic. And just philosophy in general. So I was trying to make it more of a philosophical argument than a theological one. Hello, Encyclopedia Britannica hotline. I can speak with a British accent too. Sometimes my British accent turns into an Australian accent. I don't quite know the difference, mate. Eh? No, that's Canadian. I don't know. Y'all sound the same to me. Chapter 38. In those days was Hezekiah sick unto death. And Isaiah the prophet, the son of Amoz, came unto him and said unto him, Thus saith the Lord, set thine house in order, for thou shalt die and not live. Then Hezekiah, so Isaiah comes and says, you're about to die and not live. Isn't that interesting, Marilyn? And Hezekiah was a righteous king. Then Hezekiah turned his face toward the wall and prayed unto the Lord. I think Hezekiah is the one that gets given extra life. When God turns back the sun, he gives him extra time to live, I think. And said, Remember now, O Lord, I beseech thee, how I have walked before thee in truth and with a perfect heart, and have done that which is good in thy sight. And Hezekiah wept sore. Then came the word of the Lord to Isaiah, saying, Go and say to Hezekiah, Thus saith the Lord, the God of David thy father, I have heard thy prayer, I have seen thy tears. Behold, I will add unto thy days 15 years. Yeah, that's Hezekiah. But now the problem is, during that 15 years, Hezekiah makes a mistake. I forget what he does. I think he takes a census that he's not supposed to take. I think I've got my story straight. So I knew Hezekiah is one of my favorite kings from all the Chronicles and Kings and all those books. Hezekiah is one of my favorites. And God stops the sun in the sky, or he said, what's he say to him? He says, how is the shadow supposed to move on the sundial? And he says, I forget how he says it, but he's like, it's supposed to go clockwise. And God says, for a sign, I'll make it go backwards. And the sun goes backwards in the sky, and the sundial goes backwards. So God reverses time, and then he adds 15 years onto Hezekiah's life as he's dying. But then during that 15 years, Hezekiah screws up, and it causes problems for everyone. It's almost like, dang, why'd you give him that 15 years? I'm not remembering this. Hezekiah shows off his riches. That's what he does. Yeah. Yeah. David took the census. Okay, yeah. Yeah, Hezekiah shows off his treasures to the Babylonians. He gets prideful of his riches. He's like, look at everything I got. I got a Cadillac on 24s, on dubs. I got some dang gold-plated chariots. Look at my castle. He gets prideful, and he shows off his stuff to the Babylonians, and then they come and take it all. Dang, Hezekiah, you're doing so good. That extra 15 years, man. How do you see a miracle like that? Israel did this all the time. They see all these miracles, but yet they keep, like, it's crazy that people who saw and interacted so personally with God, like you're following a pillar of fire by night and a cloud of smoke by day, you know, you're seeing Moses go up onto I forget the name of the mountain, Sinai, was it Sinai? I forget, but he goes up on and you see the clouds of fire and you hear the rumbling, like you see the parting of the waters. You see the manna come from the sky or the dew on the ground or whatever it is. You see the fish fall from the sky because you're hungry, and then you eat so much that you puke it out of your nose. How do you see these miracles happening and then quote unquote backslide? Of course, from my perspective, they didn't actually backslide. They're just accursed people. But well, they're not. I don't know. Can't let people know you have a bunker. We receive mercies every day, and yet we always forget them and take them for granted. Yeah, but not like that. Like what's he say? What's Jesus say to doubting Thomas? He says, you see me, you believe in me because you see me and you know me, but blessed are those who believe without seeing, or something like that. It's like Israel, it's the same thing with Israel. They see the miracles, they see the interactions with God, but yet they go back on it. We see, we see the miracles of God and the blessings of God, but not like that. You know, we don't get to physically put our hand into the wounds of Jesus. We don't see the waters parting. Um, but that is crazy that blessed are those who do not see and yet believe, right? Peter saw Jesus walk on water and calm the storm and then ran away. Yeah, I've heard an explanation for that before that was, I can't remember it. It made a lot of sense. Well, didn't Peter walk on water with Jesus for a couple steps and then he fell in? And then he denied Jesus 3 times? Crazy. Anyway. So yeah, Hezekiah is going to get 15 years added to his life. And then he's going to get prideful. He's going to show off his treasures to Babylon, and then they're going to come and wipe him out a couple generations later. I will add unto thy days 15 years, and I will deliver thee and this city out of the hand of the king of Assyria, and I will defend this city. And this shall be a sign unto thee from the Lord, that the Lord will do this thing that he hath spoken. Behold, I will bring again the shadow of the degrees, which is gone down in the sundial of Ahaz, 10 degrees backward. So the sun returned 10 degrees, by which degrees it was gone down. So that's what I was just explaining. The sun went backwards in the sky. The writing of Hezekiah, king of Judah, when he had been sick and was recovered of his sickness. I said in the cutting off of my days, I shall go to the gates of the grave. I am deprived of the residue of my years. I said, I shall not see the Lord, even the Lord, in the land of the living. I shall behold man no more with the inhabitants of the world. Mine age is departed and is removed from me as a shepherd's tent. I have cut off like a weaver my life. He will cut me off with pining sickness. From day even to night wilt thou make an end of me. I reckoned till morning that, as a lion, so will he break all my bones. From day even to night wilt thou make an end of me. Like a crane or a swallow, so did I chatter. I did mourn as a dove. Mine eyes fail with looking upward. O Lord, I am oppressed. Undertake for me. What shall I say? He hath both spoken unto me, and himself hath done it. I shall go softly all my years in the bitterness of my soul. O Lord, by these things men live, and in all these things is the life of my spirit. So wilt thou recover me and make me to live. Behold, for peace I had great bitterness, but thou hast in love to my soul delivered it from the pit of corruption. For thou hast cast all my sins behind thy back. For the grave cannot praise thee, death cannot celebrate thee. They that go down into the pit cannot hope for thy truth. The living, he shall praise thee, as I do this day. The living, he shall praise thee, as I do this day. The father to the children shall make known thy truth. The Lord was ready to save me. Therefore we will sing my songs to the stringed instruments all the days of our life in the house of the Lord. For Isaiah had said, let them take a lump of figs and lay it for a plaister upon the boil, and he shall recover. Hezekiah also had said, what is the sign that I shall go up to the house of the Lord? And then the next chapter is 39. Yeah, the next chapter is where he shows off. I'll just read this because it's a short chapter and it's part of the story. Chapter 39. At that time, Merodach-Baladan, the son of Baladan, king of Babylon, sent letters and a present to Hezekiah, for he had heard that he had been sick and was recovered. And Hezekiah was glad of them and showed them the house of his precious things, the silver and the gold and the spices and the precious ointment, and all the house of his armor, and all that was found in his treasures. There was nothing in his house, nor in all his dominion, that Hezekiah showed them not. Then came Isaiah the prophet unto King Hezekiah, and said unto him, what said these men? And from whence came they unto thee? And Hezekiah said, they are come from a far country unto me, even from Babylon. Then said he, what have they seen in thine house? And Hezekiah answered, all that is in mine house have they seen. There is nothing among my treasures that I have not showed them. Then said Isaiah to Hezekiah, hear the word of the Lord of hosts. Behold, the days come that all that is in thine house, and that which thy fathers have laid up in store until this day, shall be carried to Babylon. Nothing shall be left, saith the Lord. And of the sons that shall issue from thee, which thou shalt beget, shall they take away, and they shall be eunuchs in the palace of the king of Babylon. Then said Hezekiah to Isaiah, good is the word of the Lord which thou hast spoken. He said, moreover, for there shall be peace and truth in my days. So he gets prideful. He shows off his treasures to Babylon. And Isaiah says, you know what you just did, Hezekiah? Just so you know, the Babylonians are going to come and they're going to take everything you own. They're going to take your house. They're going to take your treasures, your spices, your gold, your silver, your chariots. They're going to kidnap your sons and they're going to chop their stump and stones off. And guess what happens? Guess what happens? Babylon comes. They take everything. And we hear about Hezekiah's sons later on in Isaiah. And they have no stump and they have no stones. They are eunuchs. They get they're called the castrati. Castrati. There's 3 types of castrati. There's stone removal, there's stump removal, and then there's full castrati, which is stump and stones. They get the full castrati treatment. But then Hezekiah said, "This is good. I will live out the rest of my days in peace and truth." Hezekiah realizes, I screwed up. And now this is going to happen. And that's good. More conflict. Consider repentance. Marilyn, shut up. Shut up. Just shut up. Gosh, you're so annoying. Tremble, you careless woman. Get behind me, Satan. Wanting to argue at a Bible study is weird. I know. That's all she does. There's a handful of people that come around here just to attack everything that gets said. I always get messed with, but okay. You started it in the chat. What are you talking about? Anyway, I don't care. I don't care. This is stupid. This is dumb. 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 Tremble, you careless woman. You're like a leaky roof. It's like a leaky roof. All I'm doing is quoting. Don't get mad at me. All I do is quote. Stop opening your mouth, woman. Put your fingers away. Stop using your fingers. If your fingers cause you to type, you should cut them off. I'm Ken Kniff from Connecticut. Wow. Okay. Okay. I gotta go to bed, guys. Who's live right now? Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Be back tomorrow. Messages get blocked. Nobody's blocked your messages. I'm gonna put you in timeout if you keep complaining. Nagging woman is like a leaky roof. It's like being on the every time you come in here, I feel like I'm stuck on the corner of my rooftop. I don't even know what that means, but it's in Proverbs and it sounds bad. Okay, where are we going? Is that a general principle? No, you can keep your fingers, Shiva. I hope y'all get exactly what y'all are headed towards. You see, that's why people don't like you, Marilyn. You basically just wished hell on us. I know what you mean by that. You're saying you hope we go to hell. That's what you're implying there. That's crazy. And then people come to your defense like you're some sort of virtuous, nice young lady. You just wished hell on all of us. That's what cursing is. Cursing is not saying the F word or the S word. Cursing is when you damn someone to hell. And that's what you just did. That's evil. Anyway, I wouldn't even say that to my worst enemies. EOD's live. Cool. We'll go over there. Authentic Vintage Gaming, Neverwinter Nights, Day Streaming. Nice. All right, guys, go ahead out, hang out with EODs, playing some video games. A continual dropping in a very rainy day and contentious woman are like, yeah, it's like a leaky roof. What is the one where it says a nagging woman is like being stuck on the corner of your rooftop? What does that mean? Cursing is wishing bad on people. Yeah, well, or wishing that we all go to hell. That would be a curse, yeah. And she is into witchcraft, so I make sure she never gets a piece of my hair. It'd probably be a voodoo doll of me. Oh, shut up. Don't act like that's not what you were implying. Everybody knows that's what you were implying. Better to live on the corner of a rooftop than to live with a nagging wife. Yeah, what? I mean, I guess it just means what it sounds like it means, like just to be stuck on the corner of the roof of a house. Like you're a rooster. You just live on the corner of your. That would suck. That would not be fun. Yeah, that'd be like the worst place to have to live is on the corner of your rooftop. In this, especially if the rooftop is like modern houses where it comes down to a point, you just for the rest of your life you're just stuck on the corner like this. But I would rather do that than be married to Marilyn. Proverbs 25:24 is better to dwell in the corner of the housetop than with a brawling woman and in a wide house. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I agree. I agree. Perched up there like a gargoyle, yeah. Like a dang gargoyle or like a little rooster on the hen coop. Just sitting up there like this. Forever. Okay. I gotta go. Go say hi to EOD, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. God bless. I will be back tomorrow morning. We out. Peace.